Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. Even as he battles with senators, President Trump tries to unite Senate Republicans.
The ongoing public feud between Senator Bob Corker and President Trump exploded today, just ahead of the high-stakes visit to Capitol Hill.
The president met with Senate Republicans this afternoon in an effort to project party unity amid the tax reform debate.
Mola Lenghi is on Capitol Hill with the story.
President Trump was on Capitol Hill today for a working lunch with Senate Republicans. The goal of the sit-down was to rally GOP support for his tax reform plan. The president did not speak with reporters afterwards.
Tax reform is what we are about. If there's anything that unifies Republicans, it's tax reform.
But ahead of the meeting, Republican Senator Bob Corker said the president's involvement is not helping.
I would let the tax writing committees do their work and stay out of taking things off the table and really negotiating against the process before it even begins.
Mr. Trump responded on Twitter saying Corker, quote, couldn't get elected dog catcher in Tennessee and is now fighting tax cuts.
The president has great difficulty with the truth on many issues. He's obviously not going to rise to the occasion as president.
Some believe Mr. Trump is undermining his agenda by feuding with Corker and other Republican senators. House Speaker Paul Ryan hopes the two will settle their differences.
I know Bob, who supported the budget, wants to get tax reform. I know the president wants to get tax reform. I long believe that it's best is to settle these things in person.
Senate Democrats view the infighting as an opportunity.
This bill is not a middle-class bill. Come work with Democrats on a real middle-class tax bill. The plan your advisors put together with Republicans on the Hill doesn't do what you say it does.
The House is expected to vote on the Senate's passed budget proposal this week. House leaders are aiming to unveil their tax bill sometime next week. Mola Lenghi, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
House Speaker Paul Ryan says he hopes to have the tax and budget bill on the president's desk by the end of this year.
Also today, another strong Republican critic of President Trump announced he will not return to Congress once his term is up. Arizona Senator Jeff Flake read an open letter on the Senate floor talking about regret in the leadership of the nation and also concern about a lack of civility. Flake even wrote a book critical of the president, saying nationalism, populism, and xenophobia have compromised conservatism. Flake also says the path to re-election would have been a difficult one for the, quote, Republican like him.
Former Billings state lawmaker Linda Moss has her eye on Montana's congressional seat. In a filing this week with the Federal Elections Commission, Moss lists friends of Linda Moss as her principal campaign committee. Moss served, if you recall, in the state Senate for 8 years from 2004 to 2012, serving as the majority whip in the 2008-2010 session. In 2012, she ran for the State Public Service Commission, but lost out in the Democratic primary. Moss becomes the fourth Democrat to announce plans to seek the Democratic congressional nomination. She joins Bozeman State Representative Tom Woods, Billings Attorney John Heenan, and former Land Trust Director Grant Keir of Missoula.
Firefighters are getting a handle on the Lazy R fire burning south of Roundup in the Bull Mountains.
Muscle County authorities report that 600-acre blaze is 60% contained. 20 residents who had to be evacuated from the Johnny's Coal Road area were allowed last night to return to their homes. The Lazy R fire sparked on Sunday evening. Flames destroyed a primary residence and a hunting cabin. The specific cause of the fire remains under investigation. On to the weather scene now. Those higher temperatures are coming, Bob, but so are the high winds with them.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. That's why we have a lot of fire issues with this. Let me show you what we have for you. We go across eastern Montana, and look at this. We've got red flag warnings just about all over the place. We start off by Glasgow. We have a red flag warning there for high temps. High winds, low humidity. That starts at 11 a.m. until midnight Wednesday. And should a fire get going, it'll burn out of control in a hurry in that area as well. Meanwhile, in south central Montana, we have a red flag warning there as well for the same thing. That starts at 10 a.m. Wednesday and goes till 6 a.m. Thursday. The main difference is a big cold front that's pushing through. In the meantime, we're still looking at high winds across the northern part of the state. Winds gusting there at about 65 miles per hour, 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. on Wednesday. And then up here in the northeast corner of the state, still a high wind watch there. And one other place, we we have in the Beartooth foothills a wind advisory for 40-mile-per-hour winds. So this cold front's moving through sometime late in the day tomorrow. Once that happens, those winds will be howling like a big dog, and that's going to cause all sorts of problems with erratic fire behavior because the winds will swing around to another direction after the cold front moves through. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Congress gave its final approval today to spend billions of dollars for natural disaster relief.
Included in that amount, $576 million for wildfire relief and recovery needs. Now, this past summer alone, wildfires here in Montana scorched 1.2 million acres, and they cost $386 million to fight.
Montana Senator Jon Tester took to the Senate floor today to stress the urgent need to restock Forest Service accounts so the agency can move forward to salvage timber and restore roads.
When the Forest Service has to borrow from its non-fire accounts to cover firefighting on the ground, we lose out on critical maintenance and mitigation and restoration work. This funding will pay back those accounts and support the work that is needed to recover after a record-breaking fire season.
Senator Tester also urged his colleagues in the Senate to move forward with his bipartisan bill.
It provides a long-term funding fix for the Forest Service by funding catastrophic wildfire relief the same way as other natural disasters.
Fallon County is in line now to get more than $2 million in federal disaster aid to help that community of Baker recover from last year's destructive tornado. As you see in this video, just a week after the 2016 tornado, the damage was widespread. The tornado destroyed homes, barns, and utility infrastructure. The storm also dumped 100 tons of hazardous debris into Baker Lake, rendering the popular recreation spot off limits. Montana Senator Jon Tester, who announced the $2.1 million in FEMA funds today, says that money will be used to restore Baker Lake to its pre-storm condition.
Leading up to the Q2 Survivors Breakfast this Friday, we are highlighting people and examining different topics surrounding breast cancer. Today, a dietitian weighs in on the latest recommendation of food that you should and should not eat during and after treatment. Now, first, we'll start with the good foods. It's recommended that a diet is filled with fresh fruits and veggies, lean meats, and proteins. Clinical dietitian Jessica Martin at the Billings Clinic also recommends eating omega-3 rich foods and only selecting natural sources of soy like edamame and tofu. When it comes to the bad, she says to stay away from soy that comes from a protein powder. Processed and boxed foods should never be on your shopping list if you're going through breast cancer treatments. Martin also says high fat and salty foods can result in a poor outcome. But even with a perfectly stocked refrigerator, Martin says physical activity is just as important.
And exercise plays a huge component of that. The more active you are, the better you tend to be. It decreases your inflammation after treatment. It makes, it helps your mental status as well. So I think that's one thing that kind of gets overlooked a lot, especially with nutrition. We tend to focus on what foods can help to think of foods as like medicine, but also exercise as medicine as well.
And that's edamame. I know what they are. They actually taste pretty good. Over the years, findings on sugar have changed. Martin said she still has patients who are trying to follow a low-sugar diet due to previous medical reports. But the experts now know since cancer cells do not feed on sugar, it is safe to consume it. But at the same time, you don't want to consume an abundance of sugar in your diet.
Still to come on tonight's 10 o'clock news, after Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico, many residents are eager to rebuild, just not on the same island they were forced to flee.
Plus, later tonight, the fastballs won't be the only things hitting triple digits at the World Series in Los Angeles.
And in sports, an ex-Billings Mustang is the hero of tonight's World Series opener. Scott fills us in.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green.